Catherine Norris-Trent, the Taliban that you have seen since the explosion, how would you characterize their demeanor? Kabul is obviously a place where there's often terror attacks.
That's right. The Taliban fighters I saw in the vicinity of the airport were, very tense, very on edge, firing into the air, again trying to disperse those crowds, lots of panicked people running around. I mean, extremely tense. It's a tense city at the moment anyway, and you can imagine after these attacks just how tense those scenes were. I mean, there were again scenes of carnage in the streets. Our team, we saw at least a dozen injured people, some of them children, some of them clearly very badly injured. I didn't think probably made it, being carried through those streets covered in debris and dust, and people pouring out of that area. The fighters been trying to stop people from getting into that area. There were still lots of people there, and then suddenly they had a rush of people, injured people, trying to get out, and ambulances and all kinds of vehicles trying to get in. So it was extremely chaotic and even more tense than usual. And there are a lot of armed Taliban fighters on the streets right now, more than when we arrived some days ago. So it seems that, their presence is building up, if we can use that anecdotal evidence to suggest that. They've got a very strong presence on the streets, heavily armed and very tense.
And yet these attacks happened. You witnessed firsthand that tension, and we can hear some of the people that you spoke with in some of those side streets after the attack. Let's listen.
Explosion inside the airport.
Did you see it?
What mine is it?
Okay, so he's saying there, Catherine, that the explosion was inside the airport, but it appears that's not the case.
Right. I mean, I think we should just underline there's a lot of panic going around. There's a lot of unconfirmed reports. I mean, I'm hearing information that I am not giving to you, Francois, and our viewers, because we just haven't checked it out from other sources yet. But just to show you some of the panic around there and some of the rumours spreading quickly in that crowd, all kinds of reports, that different things happened. So I'm just going to leave it at the fact that we know there are going to be big casualties. We know there was panic there. There have been these videos of scenes of absolute carnage in the alleys and the streets and even the sewers around Abbey Gate there at the side of the airport. And we saw the panic on the faces, and we saw people desperately trying to get away. We know there are dozens and dozens of injured, and the death toll looks like it's going to be very high indeed. No official figures because, of course, the government's just been overthrown and the Taliban have been taken over. It's an extremely chaotic scene. People are panicking. People are desperately trying to get information. A lot of people trying to get in contact with loved ones and people who may have been there. The telephone networks were down. I mean, it's just impossible to describe how horrendous that must have been for the people right up against the gate when those explosions took place.